Welcome to the Kansas City Business Cast. This is Michael Reisinger. Very excited about my guest today. Her name is Heather Snyder. She is the marketing agent. That's literally the name of her company, and we'll explain why I said the here in a little bit. Heather, so great to have you on the show. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm really honored to be here and excited to talk. I've had a cold earlier this week, so if I sound a little froggy, that would be the culprit.
All right.
It's that time of year. What are you going to do?
It is. That's right. As of, I almost said videotaping, but the recording of this, we're almost through the end of November. Thanksgiving's coming up. So I met you at Referral Madness, which has come up on the show before. Actually, Liz Stewart, her episode just dropped this week. She's from Referral Madness. So I've heard a little bit about your story. We haven't had the opportunity to work together with clients in the area, but, just hearing about your sort of origin and the moment where you realized this was the path to go, and then what you've learned in the process, I found it very interesting and something that I think a lot of marketing folks out there, they may not even know that this is a thing or exists. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited to have you kind of like tell everybody all about it. So you can kind of start wherever you want, but tell us.
No, it's really fun. And I loved going to Referral Madness. And if there's one thing that everyone in that room seems to have in common, it's that we are all on various kind of places of the journey for figuring out what value we can add in the business world, right? So it's like, we're all kind of honing our own special brand of genius and looking to sharpen that special brand of genius, that kind of special thing that we have to offer to our clients and customers. And we enjoy kind of rubbing shoulders with other people who are doing the same thing, and oftentimes in a way that's kind of manifesting very differently, right?
Right.
But we have that in common. And that's the fun of it to me. Like, so I was homeschooled growing up, which I think, throughout my 20s, I thought, I'm not going to tell anybody I was homeschooled. That's kind of embarrassing. It's kind of cringy. You imagine like culottes and homemade dresses and long hair and, like not allowed to play video games. And all of those things are true, right? All of those things are not untrue. But I thought, I'm not gonna mention that. That's not really part of my story. But the older I get, the more I can see that it most definitely is part of my story. And the way that shows up for me and how I work is that I'm an extremely out of the box beat, march to the beat of my own drum kind of person. And I think I fought that for a long time. But the more I am around entrepreneurs and business owners, the more I see that in them as well. Because you do have to have a level of fearlessness, and you're taking your machete through the fields and you're cutting your own path. And so that's what I think is super fun about being an entrepreneur. It's like, I don't have a governing entity other than, the United States of America and the IRS to tell me how to do business, and what I can do and who I can work with, and what my offer has to be. Right.
Right.
So to me, that's super fun. And that's what kind of leads into my title of the marketing agent. It is its own thing. It's unique as far as I know in the market, and I'm super excited to just kind of see it develop more fully with every client that I work with.
Right. So you are definitely what I call a divergent thinker. And that is becoming a very popular term right now. Like, it's funny how the world is kind of rewarding people that think differently in a way. I totally identify with what you're saying about, kind of being reserved about telling your history or whatever, because there's a certain connotation, context, and, assumptions that are out there. But I think as people, especially in larger businesses, they're seeing the consequences of what happens when they hire a bunch of yes men and yes women. And we've talked about that before, right? If you surround yourself with a chorus of agreeers, then, if that's even a word, you're going to get what you always got. And so just going with the concept of the marketing agent, I like saying, where did this start for you?
Well, no, I've been in marketing for some time. And so in my last role, I was director of strategy at a marketing agency. So I would develop marketing strategies for businesses and sell those agreements through to those business owners. But I was employed by a marketing agency. So that's pretty standard in terms of like the structure of how marketing services are bought and sold, right? So typically the way it would work is you own a business, you go hunting for a marketing solution, maybe you Google marketing agency or, do some sleuthing online, find a couple of marketing agencies you want to talk to, and then you're either talking to the owner of that agency or a salesperson within that agency. Right. So, and then they take you through a traditional sales process of let's scope your needs. Let's kind of do a little discovery time. I'll scope your needs and throw some pricing in there and try to sell you through as a client. Right. And so I was selling anything from websites to digital advertising and SEO services and content and some traditional, satellite radio advertising and lots and various and sundry things for the agency. And I loved it because I got to work with hundreds of business owners and talk to thousands of business owners over the course of my time in that role. And that really fortified my just like fascination with the entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, I could tell stories about bad ideas I have heard as a front person for a marketing agency, and it's kind of like Shark Tank a little bit. Sometimes where people will come in with business ideas that are not so spectacular, but
you at the marketing agency, the client, they're like, "Here's what we want to do," and you're like the expert.
Well, yeah, they want pricing and they want a marketing strategy for their brilliant idea, and sometimes that's a startup, and sometimes it's a startup that should not go ahead and start up, right?
Right.
But I was very honest in every encounter. When I thought it was a bad idea, I would say, look, I wouldn't do this. I would go back to the drawing board if I were you. Not that I wanted to kill people's dreams, but occasionally it just had to be done. I just couldn't in good faith, take their money. But no, so that's kind of the typical way that folks engage with marketing agencies is they're sold, right, by a salesperson or the owner of an agency.
Right.
And so when I started thinking about what is my journey beyond this role, what am I going to do after this? Am I going to go work for a bigger agency and sell bigger, more, high ticket things to larger companies? Or am I going to start my own business? I really tossed that idea around for a couple of years. And I just kept having this mental block about it. I was like, why can't... It's just not becoming clear in my mind. And then it became clear to me about 6 months before I started my new business. I thought, okay, I think I can put something together here. The problem is that I shouldn't work for a marketing agency. The entity who has the most to lose or gain in this transaction of choosing a marketing agency, of procuring marketing services or advertising, the one who has the most to win or lose from that decision is the business owner. Period. End stop. Because the reality is, if that agency sells you, Mr. Business Owner, and you're paying thousands of dollars a month for their services, and maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars for a large contract at a big agency, and for some reason they don't come through for you, and you're not thrilled with your results, and you end up canning that agency is going to replace you in a week.
Sure.
They're going to go find another client to fill that spot, to replace that revenue on their P&L sheet, right?
Right.
You, the business owner, are left with the bill. And now not only have you chosen the wrong agency, you've been in this contract for 6 months, 9 months, a year, you've lost ground, and not in a vacuum. Your competitors are running at a rapid speed, faster towards that goal of market domination, and you're behind.
And when you say that, like when I think of that, I think, you've lost grounds in terms of connecting with your customers, and you may have lost market share, which is kind of where you were going. You said, hey,
Right.
your competitors are eating your lunch, basically.
Right.
And so do companies recover from that? Have you seen companies recover from the mistakes of marketing agencies, or, any examples?
Well, yeah, I mean, business is a long game, and
Right.
there's so many factors. There's macroeconomic factors, and there's your direct competitors and what they're doing. There's just so many variables that can affect the health of your business, and choosing the right marketing agency is only one of those variables. But sure, I've seen strides in the positive direction made when you choose a better agency, for sure. So my goal is to get into that process with the business owner and say, hey, look, you have shopped for agencies 1, 2, maybe 3 times in your career. Maybe you've been a business owner for 10 years and you've chosen 2 or 3 agencies. I've been on the other end of that deal hundreds of times. I know the questions you're not going to ask, the questions you are going to ask, and the questions that must be asked to get you in the right position with an agency, right? So my goal is to be the advocate in this marketing and advertising jungle that is out there for the business owner. So I don't work for a marketing agency. I'm not employed by an agency. I'm not on retainer for any agencies, which is really what makes the marketing agent a very different concept from what's being done out there. There are, I guess the most similar kind of business model would be consultants I know who work for several agencies, right? And so they draw a retainer. Sometimes it's like, I've heard as much as $8,000 a month for an agency. And these guys will have like 3 or 4 agencies that they are taking these retainers from. And they go out and hunt for clients for those agencies. And the agency owners I know who have done this are not happy with it either. Sure. So it's kind of like, that might be a hustle, if you ask me, a heist of sorts. But no, my model is I work for the client. So the client pays me as a consultant to walk that road with them. And it starts with a really in-depth discovery process, like a month long.
Yeah. What's the process there?
Yeah. So it's a month-long discovery process where I'm either in your offices or on Zoom, depending on how far away you are and what our agreement is. And I'm talking to your salespeople. I'm talking to your marketing staff, if you have any, and we're looking at what has worked historically, what has not worked, what's your budget, what's your timeline, and most importantly, what are your goals? And we want to have really clear answers for all of those kind of blanks on the spreadsheet, because that's what we're building your strategy around, right?
Right.
Yeah, so we can kind of reverse engineer that whole process. I get to know your sales process, your sales team, what's working, what's not working, what's your tech stack, what have you done in marketing so far, what have you not tried that maybe we should try, and then with your goals, budget, and timeline in the epicenter, we build a strategy around that.
Right. Typically, what does that look like when you build a strategy with them, and then how do you walk through that with the company?
Yeah,
the business owner?
So the way that typically lays out is that you're going to need 2 to 5 agencies.
Marketing that go ahead. Sorry.
I
don't want to go to the end. I've heard you talk about this before, but I'm trying to make sure so you're going to need 5 instead of 1.
Perhaps
2.
5, 2 to 5. I like to say 2 to 5. 5 is rare, but I like to kind of mentally prepare a client for the chance that you might need 5. And I'm not talking about you're paying all 5 thousands of dollars a month. But there is a very real reason that we're diversifying our agencies.
Right.
And it's not just for the sake of complexity, because I will eliminate complexity wherever I possibly can.
Right.
But not if we're going to sacrifice meeting your goals. Right. So let me kind of back up and say what kinds of companies these typically are that we're doing this for. Most of my clients are business to business clients. I also work with some B2C apps as well, like apps that are launching national apps. Lots of different types of clients I've worked with, but I would say my standard fare is B2B businesses. More specifically, B2B service-based businesses. So like engineering firms are very common in my world. Architectural firms, law firms that are business facing, all different types of B2B companies. So that's really kind of the use case I'm talking about here with this model. So the way the strategy typically works is after we lay out all these factors, your goals, budget, and timeline, it's kind of coming clear in my mind what strengths we need to look for in an agency. So this is way before I'm thinking of what particular agencies we're going to go to, because I really like to build it with the client's interests in the center, completely agnostic as to who is going to do it at this point. So the way it usually lands is, okay, we need an agency that's kick-ass at SEO, because we know we need to show up in organic search in Google. Okay, we need SEO and content in one agency. We definitely need high creative for this piece. Maybe they need some recruiting marketing or some video, video production. They need perhaps a website, maybe social media. So we're laying out what they need, and then it's kind of starting to become clear of how many agency resources we're likely going to need.
That makes complete sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so then that takes me to the other kind of real reason for me starting this business is there's 14,000 marketing agencies in the US.
That's not an exaggeration. You're
not.
Literally 14,000.
Right.
Wow.
14,000. And there's probably more than that. There's hundreds in Kansas City alone. Kansas City is a very big marketing town. So if you're a business owner and you've felt confused by marketing in Kansas City, go easy on yourself, because this is a very confusing place for marketing, just because there are a lot of agencies. There's some amazing agencies in this town. I mean, we have VML, which is one of the largest in the world. And yeah, hundreds of spin-offs probably over the years from VML and some fantastic agencies. But they're in the agency world, an extremely common sort of billboard or kind of homepage for these agencies is, we are full service. We're full service marketing agency. And they will not tell you what industries they focus on. They will not tell you what tactics they do well compared to those they do not do well. They will simply tell you they are all things to all people. And I call bullshit.
I would too.
Yeah.
Generally, anybody that says they're full service or full cycle or
right.
I've known people for so long. I've worked for so many different organizations, and everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and few of them actually focus full hog on their strengths.
Right. It's so true. And so I spend a lot of my time talking to marketing agencies. I want to get to know as many as I can. I have a running spreadsheet where after I meet with an agency owner, I will detail what do they do very well. So I have sort of like this golden Rolodex of agencies and resources that I'm building every day, which is super fun. But no, the first thing I ask a new agency owner upon meeting them, I'm like, tell me the 2 or 3 things you do really well. And if they don't like that question, and there are some that don't, and they say, no, we do everything well, I say, okay, how many people do you have on your team? Well, we have 15 people. Okay. And how many things do you do? And then they show me a tactical list of 100 things. And I say, this cannot be true.
And when you say things, you mean like SEO, Instagram?
Yeah,
Twitter,
I'm talking about everything
website.
from sales enablement
Okay.
to digital ad management to SEO to graphic design, web design,
Okay.
all these things. And it's just impossible to do all of those things for any industry, completely agnostic, wide open, and to do it profitably as an agency and to do it well. It's impossible. I would love to be proven wrong, but I just don't think it's possible. I've seen behind the curtain enough
I was
to
just
know
going to say,
it's not possible.
You've worked with hundreds upon thousands of business owners reached out or engaged. You had a team. How big was your team when you were in the director of strategy position?
We had about 30 in that
people.
agency, right?
And you know what those people
Yeah.
were capable of.
Sure.
And rock star or not, you
Yeah.
can't truly be a master of everything, right?
No, you can't. And I can't emphasize enough. There are some amazing agencies out there.
Yeah.
And my goal is foremost to meet the goal of the client, the business owner, to enable them to hit the goal to 2x, 3x, whatever their goal is for their company. Because I know that they have literally signed their life away in a quest to make that business produce. I could almost cry about it, the entrepreneurial spirit in this country and how entrepreneurs are the best part of this country. And I can't even emphasize it enough. So that I have the privilege to come alongside them and say, I'm going to save you from dealing with some bullshit in this marketing world. And I'm going to hold your hand and walk through this fire with you and find the right solution and help you ring that bell at the end is a huge honor. But also, I love helping agencies. I really do. I love helping agencies find the right client for them. Because there's nothing better when that match happens, when you meet the agency who has the tech stack, the right tools for the job, the right talent for the job, and you match their expertise with the mission and goal of your client, and it's magic, right? So that's the goal, is to match those amazing agencies and their talent with these clients and their goals. So, but so the thing that I think has gone wrong in what has led me into this role and to create this role is that most agencies don't have a dedicated sales team, right? They take referrals, they take clients here and there. They don't have they just don't really have a very sophisticated sales process for their agency. And so they end up taking on work that they probably shouldn't. It's amazing how many agencies you can Google that will not have Google reviews activated.
Right.
Meaning they don't want their clients talking about them in a public forum. Do you hear what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to recognize that right now because, I just interviewed Liz from Tin & KC. Mm-hmm. She has 105 reviews. She has 105 5-star reviews.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And we've talked about it in Referral Madness. They've talked about how to turn that on and why it's so important and how you're aware of how all the Google Analytics feeds in, and it makes it easier to find your business.
Sure.
So,
yeah, and if you can find an agency that has a lot of great reviews that are real reviews and that are not rigged,
how do you tell the difference with that?
I think I think a buying decision in this age, right, in 2023, 2024, your buying decision has to be so multifaceted, and the reviews are merely one of the facets you're looking at, right?
Right.
And then when I look at reviews, I'm looking at how many of them are there, when were they added? Like if we've got 500 5-star reviews and they were all added in the last 30 days,
right?
Ding, 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 warning bells are going off.
That's
a
great example.
Yeah, you're looking at quality of the reviews. Like, is it 5-star? Great job. Is it 5-star? 2 or 3 words with not a lot of context. That's a little bit of a warning sign as well.
Right.
So I look at all of those things, but there are a surprising amount of agencies that just don't have Google reviews even activated. And that's scary.
Well, if you're a marketing agency, you should be cued into
Oh, they know. Oh, they know.
Because this is what they profess they're good at helping companies with.
Sure. They don't want the chatter.
You're bringing up such a good point, and I feel like this is something that entrepreneurs know generally, because entrepreneurs generally, I heard the other day, there's a 90% failure rate with being an entrepreneur. Only 10 to 15% people make it. Hardest thing to do, hardest thing you'll ever do. You have to exercise all kinds of muscles you didn't even know you had in your brain. And so we know this, but when we receive advice from a company that is not doing themselves what they say they will do for other companies, in this case, a marketing agency that does not have Google reviews turned on, how can I expect you to help me? It's just like, I'm not going to take financial advice from people that don't manage finances well. I'm not dismissing the lessons we can get from people who have, failure or lessons, but this marketing thing, it's funny. I mean, I've had, ever since I started my business, I get hit up on LinkedIn and they're like, I'm going to help your business grow. And I look at their site and it's trash. And, my site's trash because I haven't fixed it yet because I'm not a web designer. Yeah. But if you're telling
I'll
me
hook you up, don't worry.
I appreciate that. But like, if you're telling me you're going to help me be seen and heard and you're going to give me my brand voice and help me speak to my clients, but man, you're terrible at doing that for yourself.
Yeah.
That's just a whole other topic.
Yeah, no,
but that's part of your forensic research that you do.
It is. It's part of why I'm needed. I truly believe, and others are needed too. There could be 100 of me in this city, and it wouldn't be enough. Truly.
Wow.
So, like, if you're out there, if you're slinging websites for a company, and you think you want to do what I'm doing, give me a call, and I will help you do it alongside me. Why not? There's plenty of business for everybody. Because I think as we see not only AI deepening and technology getting more and more complex, the options are bifurcating, and it's this crazy, confusing landscape for business owners. Because not only do you have and I could go off for a long time. I was
just going to say, you just broke through into another dimension. So go ahead and ride it there.
Well, it's not only that you have every marketing agency in Kansas City hitting you up if you're a business owner in Kansas City. You have agencies all over the world. You have pop-up internet, online only agencies and speakers and gurus and books, and there's so many resources for marketing that it is overwhelming. And there's so much contradicting information. Like if you ask 3 marketers, you'll get 3 opinions almost every time. Like SEO is dead. No, SEO is not dead. Google is everything. No, Bard. It's going to be Chat GPT. It's going to, like, you have, discord in the ranks of marketing. And part of that, and this is another reason why I am necessary, business owners, you need my help, is because there is no governing body for marketing. So if you think about, you're starting a business, who are the professionals you need? You got to have a banker, you got to have a lawyer, you got to have a tax person, an accountant, right? And you need a marketing agency or person, right? All of those other categories have governing bodies. They have compliance, government, They have ramifications if they do not comply. They have licenses that they must obtain by states or countries. Marketing does not.
So I'm thinking IRS, obviously the federal government or the governing body of wherever you're practicing business. Does the Federal Trade Commission not govern marketing?
Well, the FTC will spank you if you say something you're not supposed to, but not.
Sure.
But they will not spank the agency. They will spank you, the business owner. Right. So if you are a, let's say you're a hospital or
Sure.
you're a pharmaceutical drug, and you put out an ad that says, we cure XYZ 100%, like you're slinging a ShamWow or something, and you make some bold claim, the FTC will spank you, the business owner.
Got it.
Not the agency who threw it. So the agency is safe.
Right.
In that.
They're absolved of all that. And
right.
I'm sure that's what's in the marketing contract.
It's in the marketing contract. And so it's the business owner's responsibility to uphold their FTC, and, in the financial world, it's the, what is it? The financial one, the governing body.
Federal
SEC.
Reserve or SEC. Sorry,
yeah.
Go ahead. Okay.
SEC. I think. I don't know.
I'm getting all the alphabet
right.
agency names in my head now. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, in marketing, there isn't a, if you're a lawyer, you have to pass the bar. If you're a CPA, you have to be certified. There's levels of expertise that you must prove, and there's governing bodies to oversee that.
There's a code. There's, yeah.
But anybody can start a marketing agency. Anybody can claim, to be an expert in marketing. And I've seen it happen over and over again. And so one of the reasons I call myself the marketing agent is I don't want to call myself an outsourced CMO, because I think that comes with certain expectations, or it's kind of a loaded...
Like a chief marketing officer,
right?
CMO.
Yeah, I don't refer to myself as an outsourced CMO because I don't hold a master's in marketing. And if I was going to hire an outsourced CMO as a business owner, I would expect them, and that's just me, maybe the next guy wouldn't, but I would expect them to hold a master's in marketing and to have acted as CMO within one or multiple companies, right? In order to earn that title. I have clients that call me that, that refer to me as their outsourced CMO, but that's not my, I would rather have my own title that I made up, which is the marketing agent. This is what I do. I serve you, Mr. Business Owner. I sniff around for the right solutions for you. I can see through the smoke screens and the bullshit, and I know the questions to ask to connect you with the best resources. Right. So it's fun.
Yeah. So with that, you've had to learn a lot of things that you weren't even necessarily exposed to when you were at a marketing agency. So you start helping Mr. Business Owner, and I'm sure all of a sudden then, because you're talking to sales, you're talking to HR, you're talking to accounting, probably operations, it doesn't sound like there's any level of an organization your conversations wouldn't touch. I mean, people on the front lines, depending on what they do, right? But, as a marketing agent now, what are some things that you've had to learn as you do this about working with business owners and their companies? What new skills or attributes have you had to figure out? Whether it's, and I know that's kind of, I have a habit of this, of asking like 4 or 5 questions, and then I end as if I asked one question.
Yes or no?
Yeah. You're like, yes.
Yes.
Maybe. But what are some things you've had to learn in this role now that you're on the business side advocating for them? Like, what comes up?
I would say most of what I've had to learn in this role has been the business side of my own business, like my own, the legal part and the tax part and all the things of my own business. But how I consult with clients is very similar. And I think, I don't know, I think lately, and I don't know if this is just because of my new role, or if this is just the environment right now, in this post-COVID, everybody trying to figure out what's going on, world we find ourselves in. Business owners are just so maxed out. They're just exhausted. They're spread thin. Their decision-making muscles are just spazzing out. They're approached in every which direction by not only salespeople, but sales robots and automated stuff through LinkedIn and their inbox. And they are just stressed beyond belief. They're so stressed that I have clients that I can't even get a meeting with. Paying clients that can't make time to focus on their business with a consultant that they're paying. And so I don't have the answer for that or the silver bullet to solve that. Hopefully in 2024, there's some relief,
Right.
The beginning of the year, I don't know. But yeah, there's some maxed out business owners out there.
So with you, they're getting bombarded by all these marketing agencies and people selling them technology. And you said then there's the robots, selling them. How do you say like this is probably the most important thing?
Yeah. Well, I think part of being a consultant and the thing that makes it a little different than me repping a company approaching a business owner is it does come down a lot to personality fit. It really does. As much as I would like for that not to be true, because I kind of like to, just blaze through sometimes. But it's not a transaction that we're doing. It really is a relationship. And so I think if a business owner knows that there's a problem in marketing or they have growth goals that they're not hitting and they like the way I talk and they like the way my mind works through these things and the way I see this landscape, that we should have a conversation. I think I see things pretty different from other folks in marketing that I know. I have an extremely strategic mind. Gallup's strength assessment, my top strength is strategy. And I love it. And so what that means and how that plays out in what I do for businesses, you talked about, like, do you talk to operations and accounting and HR and,
Right.
and all of those departments within companies? Sometimes, yes. And the reason is when we're laying out a marketing strategy and we're identifying a goal, we're getting so specific. Like, let's say we're talking about a construction company, commercial construction, or a commercial contractor. And on their website, it says we do commercial and residential, for instance.
Sure.
Or we do commercial private and commercial government projects. Okay, cool. And I approach them to talk about marketing and they say, we don't need marketing. We're too busy as it is. Okay. We need people. Okay, great. So we can do some recruiting marketing. Yes, we can do recruiting marketing. Okay, great. And what are you busy doing? Are you busy doing the work that is most profitable? Or are you busy doing the work that you happen to be winning? Because it's so often that these business owners say, yeah, we really don't want to do government jobs, but that's what we keep winning, right? Maybe we're always the low bid, or we have one of our salespeople has a relationship with somebody, and so we're winning these government projects, but we really don't like doing those. We're best tooled for private jobs, right? Or we really don't like doing residential jobs, but we keep doing them. Okay, well, how much of your time is spent being busy doing work that is not as profitable, that really is not how your company is tooled and set up to produce, right? That's where marketing comes in. that's where we say, okay, let's reconfigure your mousetrap, right? Like eliminate all the shit that you don't want to do. Like that's called brand positioning. Let's position your brand to win the types of work that you want and only that. Right?
Right.
And that's how you dominate. That's how you go from being a business that is spinning plates in every direction, that has holes in the boat of profit leaking out because, damn it, we took on a job we shouldn't have taken on because it came in the door.
Seemed good at the time.
We had to keep the lights on. Well, what if we were more strategic in how we positioned our company and we said, no, we are not a commercial and residential painting company. We are only a commercial painting company. And we only paint these surfaces with this formula for these types of businesses. And you know what? We're the best to ever do it. And we own that position in the market. And that's all we ever say. And by saying no to all the work that we don't want to do, we're saying yes to all the things that we do want to do. Right? So turning that, we're too busy to focus on marketing, into let's take a minute and reconfigure our mousetrap so that we're only winning the types of projects we want to win and becoming more profitable. Right?
Right. I just, that's something that's really struck me about your experience and the way you talk about what you do as well. And this whole theme of strategy and your ability to state things in ways that are simple and they make sense, right? Simple, not simplistic, but just very much like, I've heard you tell some of your war stories and, moments that you were in where, there was a moment where there was a lot of confusion in a meeting and, you just thought to say hey, do you guys actually use this function that we're all talking about or whatever it was, right?
Sure.
And, where did you get that from?
Oklahoma.
How? Yeah. Cause that's something I've met and I've worked with a lot of marketing people in my life. And the fact that you just got down to talking to a company about how to position themselves to do the things they want to do. So Oklahoma, tell me.
I was born and raised in Oklahoma, and my dad was an oil field guy, and I grew up hunting and fishing, and I've spent a lot of cold mornings in a duck blind and in deer blinds, and I've got some country chops, I suppose. But no, I am kind of simple or pragmatic. If it works, it's good. If it doesn't work, it's not good. It's kind of my approach. And yeah, I think the story you were talking about was, I was in a boardroom with a bunch of guys who were, contemplating working with me. And they were like, well, if we abandon our one agency, then we'll lose this dashboard, right?
Okay,
this kind of integrated dashboard with all of our data plugged into it. Because I was advocating that they should diversify their agencies, that they really needed more than one agency because the quality of what they were getting just wasn't to their standards. They weren't happy with it. So they wanted more creative. They wanted better performance in certain areas. And all of the things they were telling me were telling me without them telling me, hey, we need more than one agency. And I said, okay, yeah, you really need 3 agencies probably, maybe 4, 3 all the time, maybe 4 occasionally. And they said, well, if we do that, we'll be sacrificing this dashboard. And I said, okay, how often do you look at the dashboard? And they all look at each other and they're like, yeah, not ever. And it's because that's the pragmatic response to that, because a dashboard is a tool, and just like you have tools in your toolbox, right? We're in your space here. You probably have a garage somewhere with tools. And, if somebody said to you, well, if you buy this thing, then you'll be sacrificing these tools that you have in your garage. Well, then the question is, well, how often do you use those tools?
Right.
And and then that dictates how the rest of that conversation is going to go. And so it became clear they never look at the dashboard, because the reality is a business owner knows if his marketing is working without looking at a dashboard.
Right.
And not just the business owner, the company knows. Like the head of operations, the head of HR, they know if the recruiting marketing is working, if they have applications coming in the door, right?
Right.
The operations guy knows if the brand positioning is working, if the if the work orders coming in are aligned with what they're best tooled to accomplish, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So dashboards are cool. Tools are fun. Bells and whistles are awesome, but none of those are your strategy. And I think that's where a lot of marketing agencies and, marketing folks can kind of go awry.
Right.
Is by getting kind of caught up in those bells and whistles without staying true to a strategy.
Absolutely. We've talked a little bit about learning the business side. I know that part of you being an entrepreneur, you have a strong sense of, being your own boss, kind of guiding your own day. Maybe if there's people out there, because you've spoken to business owners, I think you've spoken a little bit to the marketing agencies, but maybe there's people out there right now. You said too, hey, if you're out there in Kansas City right now and you're thinking of doing what I do or wanting to do what I do, give me a call, but what would you say some of the biggest challenges or things that you've learned that they would need to know if they want this type of life, going into being a marketing agent or an entrepreneur in the marketing, but not working with a marketing agency? Like, what are some things that they need to be aware of and focus on?
I don't know. I mean, I would imagine every entrepreneur's journey is different. I think at this point, I would identify myself as being self-employed.
Sure. Rather
than being a business owner, right? And I think there's a pretty distinct difference. Like, I don't have a bunch of employees, I don't have a brick and mortar storefront or office space, and I may never, I may always just be this lean kind of machine doing my thing, which would be fine. But I think if you're gonna take a jump into the unknown, I think you have to be a little bit crazy. You have to be a little bit. I can't imagine being extremely risk averse and doing something like that. But I was in sales for a long time before I started this company. Was selling for a marketing agency, and when you're in sales, you kind of put your fate in your own hands anyway. And I've had that mentality forever, like just forever, that I don't want to trade my time for dollars, that I don't want anyone telling me how much is my cap of how much I can earn. I want to be in control of that, because I will bet on myself, right? I know that I can out earn my salary. Like, if ever I was given a salary, I would immediately think it's probably not enough, because I know I'm going to exceed the effort, right?
Right.
So I think that kind of set the stage for entrepreneurship. I mean, this is not my first time being an entrepreneur.
Really?
Yeah. When my kids were little, I had a business where I would refinish vintage furniture,
cool.
And flip it. And it was super fun. And that was just something I could do like while they were asleep, and I'm in the garage painting and flipping furniture. And the marketing piece was, of course, my favorite piece, and the sales aspect of it. And
right.
Just kind of learning how to get the most out of a given piece of furniture. Right.
Right.
So, no, I mean, I think you have to be a little bit crazy, and you have to believe that what you have to offer is going to make it, and if I had a crystal ball, I could tell you if my concept here is going to make it, beyond 2 years or 3 years. I don't. But all I know is I will serve every client that's in front of me to the best of my ability, and I love seeing them meet their goals.
Absolutely. So we had talked recently too about you brought up the sales piece. Like, I want to bet on myself, like putting my success in the hands of other people.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
No.
Like, you want to be in control of that. You mentioned the AI, coming in hot. I know it's already happening right now. What are some other things that you think people should be aware of, when it comes to marketing coming up?
I think it's definitely probably the most exciting time to be in marketing ever. It's scary. It's crazy. I think every marketing agency or marketing professional I know is feverishly trying to figure out how they're going to use the AI tools as they become available.
Right.
ChatGPT-4, using things like Dolly, which is...
What's Dolly?
So I am not an expert on this, but it's pretty amazing. If you are paying for ChatGPT-4, which is the paid version of ChatGPT, if you go to the Explore button at the top there, there's a bunch of different ChatGPTs, as they're called. It's like versions, and they're trained kind of assistants and bots that do different things. Right now it's at the top, but it's Dolly, Dalle. That's where you can enter a description of an image, and then it populates an image. You could enter a description of a logo, or I did one for a LinkedIn post that I have not yet posted, and I was like pretty amazed it made an image that was exactly what I wanted. I wanted a marketing funnel with the various stages of consideration of a buyer, and I wanted it surrounded by logos. Like, I wanted a very specific thing, and it made the image in 10 seconds.
That is so cool. I have experience with Midjourney, which is the Discord bot,
yes.
And I played around with that with my daughters, and put a cat on a dolphin in an ocean of pink water,
right?
And it made it. And
so this is similar.
Getting better. Hands are getting better.
The hands are forever a thing. I just think they're doing that to mess with us.
Right.
I'm like, how can I? Yeah. I guess that's the hard part. But
great example of how to use it, though, as a person in marketing, right?
Yeah. So I think every agency and marketing professional are trying to figure out how we're going to use this. What's its part in what we're doing? And I think where it's going to land, and where I hope it lands, is that these tools will just make agencies more efficient and faster, but that they won't they won't outsource the creativity to the AI. That's where it becomes too much for me. It's like, no, a human needs to be in control of the creative. They need to be the originator of the idea. And then, in marketing, we have like production art, production work, right? So that's just where you take the initial creative thing that the person has made, and then you just bounce out a bunch of different versions.
Right.
That's where I think AI can come into play. But for sure, the jobs of graphic designers and copywriters are all in the balance right now, because these tools are just getting too good. They're too fast. They're too cheap. I wrote a 30 email launch campaign for a client the other day in ChatGPT, and I gave extremely specific parameters. We want 1,500 words. Like, I think it ranged like 1,200 to 2,000 words per email.
Sure. And
I gave a description. I gave some insight on tone. We want funny and down to earth, and even gave some celebrities that were kind of like in the vibe of
Sure.
Jeff Foxworthy was this particular one. And by God, this thing spat out 30 emails that were almost uneditable. Like a couple of edits here and there. And yeah, it was crazy. And the same thing with social media content. I mean, there's just so much you can do with these tools. It's amazing.
It really, I know it's been scary. There's been a lot of layoffs lately. And, you know, when companies like Disney announced 5,000, T-Mobile announced 5,000, I know Amazon's laid off a bunch. It was very strange to me that like a couple months later, a lot of these companies announced new AI tools. Here's the thing, though, about what you're talking about, is that if you learn how to use these things to help you, you know, actually execute, like I think about, you were the difference in the prompt. You know, you told it what to do.
Sure.
It produced something that would have taken you, how long would it take you to write 30 emails from scratch?
Probably 10 hours.
Even using like the same entry paragraph or like whatever, like having a template, it would take you 10 hours.
Yeah.
And you know, it's an accelerator. It's a force multiplier for your business. And I've joked that, you know, ChatGPT is my first employee when I talk to people, because I've used it when I get stuck.
Yeah.
When I get stuck on something, I just start typing jargon into it to see what'll come out, you know, and I've tested that with my wife, and I mean, it's really powerful.
Yeah.
You know, I think the message is use it and leverage it now, because I don't think they're going to be free forever. A lot of these tools.
No, I don't think so. I mean, ChatGPT 4 is like $20 a month,
Right.
I think. And that's like OpenAI, I think, just has, I mean, it's called OpenAI. Like they want this kind of like altruistic, everything's for everyone, open source kind of thing.
Sure.
And maybe that's because they don't really want the responsibility of being the hands that end us all, kind of like
Skynet.
Right, Skynet, the rise of the machines. They're like, no, this was all of us. We all did this.
Yeah.
This wasn't just our idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, hey, kind of in closing, I know there were some other things that you might have wanted to talk about. So just kind of open mic for you here.
Yeah. So the other thing that I'm doing in addition to consulting, I have a lot of things going on right now, but I carve out a certain percentage of my time for consulting in the marketing agent model. And that's, as we've stated, where business owners say, hey, I think I need a new marketing agency, or I think I need a marketing agency for the first time. Can you help us navigate those waters? And I step in and hold your hand for 6 months. We walk through. I'm in the onboarding process. I'm on status calls with the agency. If you have internal marketing staff that maybe have never worked with an agency before, I'm helping to train them on how to manage that agency. So I'm really acting as kind of the glue for your agency relationships within your company, right? So then I have another kind of percentage of my time that I carve out for my media clients. So I help clients with SiriusXM advertising, as well as the Daily Wire, which is super fun.
Sure.
So I have a special place in my heart for conservative business owners. And if you look up my website, themarketingagent.us, and click on media buying, you can see my page there. That site was just launched this week. I'm super excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Yeah, kind of a harrowing process, but it's done and it's fun. So I'm working with some companies who want to be on Daily Wire shows. So that's like Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, lots of fun ones that I'm just super excited. That marketing dollars and advertising dollars are starting to funnel towards hosts like that.
Sure.
Who happen to be speaking some really important messages and reaching phenomenal audiences. I'm really excited to have those relationships to make those buys on behalf of my clients. But yeah, and I have some other fun stuff coming up that are a little on the horizon. Just a tease to it, though. I'm going to be starting an agency with. This is a totally separate thing. Starting an agency with a compatriot who is in Florida, who has a long history of agency ownership and has sold agencies for a lot of money, and he's very, very smart, way smarter than me. And we're starting that agency specifically for companies who have been recently backed by private equity or VC. B2B service-based businesses who have been recently backed by private equity. So that's an agency that those private equity fund managers can say, hey, here's all of our portfolio businesses, make them grow.
Wow.
Yeah. And to our knowledge, there's nothing like that exists that are specifically for those types of companies. And there's a lot of reasons that I won't go into now. Maybe you can have me back on in the future when that launches. And there's a lot of reasons that there is a necessity for an agency specifically tooled for companies that are on a fast 2-3x growth trajectory. This agency will be rocket fuel for those companies.
Is so cool, Heather. It has been so awesome having you on the show. We
Pleasure.
will definitely do a part 2, especially after the agency launches. And, as I've told everybody, we're going to put Heather's information, how to get in touch with her website, all that. I know you're most active on LinkedIn. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, and I love connecting with all my friends around the world on there.
Yeah, awesome.
So fun.
So thank you all for listening. Again, remember to subscribe, rate, review, share the episodes, and thanks again, Heather. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Michael. You're the best.
You got it.